Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm so sorry that the last email didn't have the right link, sent you to the wrong place. So anybody watching on YouTube, go to the email from the week before or any of the other weeks. It's always the same link if you want to come into the Zoom room. That was an oversight. Uh, got confused somewhere in the hurry of it all. Anyway, we will begin. Again, you can use the same link each week, even if I make a mistake with the email, and we'll let you in as you come. And there is the live stream. So the non-dual silence in us greets the non-dual silence in you. Shameful silence on my It's always a bit of a bummer when technology becomes so routine that we screw it up anyway. You lose at both ends. So, silence. Yes, the sages of non-duality have spoken to great length, or not spoken, or observed the power of this non-dual quality of silence. Whether it's Ramana or the Zen traditions or Vipassana, uh, silence is a veritable spiritual force, which is a game changer in how we experience ourselves as alive within the whole, as an expression of the. But before we go into skirting around this great dimension of non-dual silence, let's look a little bit at where this quality has been misconstrued, where it's become associated with all kinds of suffering, where it's been weaponized, where silence has been made equivalent to a lack of expression or a lack of action, meaning silence became equal to neglect or the failure to take a stand or the failure to act, where the old expression that those who keep their silence are as guilty as those who perpetrate the crime. Meaning you have to go into action immediately. Otherwise, you will fall on the wrong side of this line of good and evil. Silence is complicity. If it was like that, then allowing ourselves to feel the energy of peace would be like saying, okay, if you allow yourself to feel the vibration of peace, you are basically enforcing every war that's ever been. If you allow yourself to feel the vibration of insight, you're basically saying, let's all go insane. There is a reversal there, which shows a weaponization, an abuse of what is actually a quality. So that's one example of where silence is being taken and weaponized. That you're not allowed to keep your silence, you have to speak up. But then there's another way, which we know very well as we have all been children in the educational system, where silence has been used as a punishment, an obligation, an enforcement. You must be silent now because teacher is talking. You mustn't just express what's on your mind or in your heart. You must be silent. Children should be seen and not heard. Again, the use of silence as a way to discipline children. Meaning, as children, we learn that if we're told to be silent, we should be very afraid of the authority. Our expression is not to be trusted. It's not acceptable. Later on, it becomes further weaponized, where we feel as maybe females or people of a particular culture or tribe or people who are on the margins of the central power, whatever that is at that moment. They have no voice. They feel silenced. They fight they fight against the silencing. Again, as if silence was a punishment, as if silence was the opposite of expression, as if silence was the opposite of esteem or status. Only if you're in a particular position do you have the right to express, otherwise you must be silent. Another example of the corruption of how we view this quality of silence would be what every normal couple does at some stage, which is the silent treatment. You can't win the argument. You're so angry at having been made to be angry that you just become silent. You just don't speak anymore because you're not going to go to that level. You can freeze the fucker out by being very, very, very silent until they beg for you to connect. The silent treatment, we teach them to appreciate our voice, to be grateful when we speak, when we most feel unheard. We weaponize it against ourselves and against our beloved. It's okay, everything's fine. I'm not going to give voice to this at all. The silent treatment. And of course, in groups, this can be absolutely devastating to a child. In England, you call it sending a child to sending someone to Coventry. So that's when a group of people, somebody comes in and suddenly nobody will speak to them at all. He says, hello, how are you? And nobody answers. How's it going? Hey, Hilda, what's up? No answer. The collective silent treatment. Meaning silence is now used as a form of lynch. A total form of collective rejection. Again, the abuse of silence. Yeah, Donna, we are aware of, and everybody on YouTube who can't get in the normal way, there was a false link on the email which sent you to the payment page, which was not necessary, but we always use the same link. And you're all totally free to press on the same link at any moment. So if ever that happens again, just follow the old link. And anybody watching on YouTube who can't get in, just open up any of the old emails and follow the old link and you will come here.
Georgie, I've never had to go and open up my Zoom app in order to get in. All I've had to do is tap the button on what you send every week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was totally thrown, and I
It's my mistake. It's
and
my
and
mistake.
I had no idea. I've never opened up the Zoom app on my phone to start with. Never.
Yeah. I had no intention of making you open up a Zoom app. It was really a mistake. That link should have brought you directly to the Zoom room.
Okay.
So
From
always
now
you can
on,
follow the
go to the Zoom link and put in the same numbers.
it's all you can always click on an old one, but the next one will be good again. It
Thank you.
just got lost somewhere in the kind of fastness of having to produce the email very fast.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but
That's absolutely fine.
I feel really bad to miss the beginning or miss the
Yeah.
talk and to miss anything.
Yeah.
So I had to express myself.
But
Sorry.
it gives me a chance to remind anybody who's watching on the live stream that they're very welcome into the Zoom room, and all they have to do is get the link from a previous email and they can come in. I would have found it, but I couldn't disturb the screen. Otherwise, I would have sent a second email.
I'm like a leper. I only have a phone. So I'm,
I understand.
old and stupid at technology.
Yeah, I understand. So what you missed was we're looking at all of those places where silence has been associated with all kinds of traumatic resonances like exclusion, banishment, punishment, where we've used silence to punish each other, uh, to take each other to how do you say, in power struggles, to exclude, and how, as a result, partly our relationship with silence became an awkward one. It feels like silence is not very attractive suddenly, sometimes, as if we give up our expression, as if we give up our bases, our right to exist, as if we become forcibly muted, as if we sacrifice our belonging. And that's what makes it such an incredibly healing quality. Because when we really begin to open up to the resonance of silence, the great, incredible living silence, which is there at the backdrop of all that we could experience and all that anyone could experience, we might find that there is a certain form of communication which can never get lost, a form of belonging which can never get lost, a form of empathic exchange, a language being spoken, which is always available. Not only that, we find that there is a possibility to move into a kind of intimacy which doesn't depend on language. In fact, language begins a little bit to be superfluous or to function in a different way, meaning it starts to translate the silence as opposed to be there instead of the silence. And we all know this process when we sit down with a friend or at a bus stop with a random person and we say something and they say something and then there is silence. There is a kind of little waves of shame or awkwardness because we were speaking and now there's no speaking. And where there's no speaking, there's this kind of awkwardness, this place where it's almost threatening, as if we lose a boundary. Because immediately there's a oneness in the silence, and where there are issues with the oneness, the effect of that comes forward. An embarrassment. It's like oversharing to share silence. And sometimes we'll just talk, so everybody can relax. Just keep talking, keep talking, keep talking, keep talking. The silence feels unsafe. And if we can allow that and relax behind that, or even listen to the resonance of that, or even just let the resonance just be what it is and relax even deeper into the silence. Just imagine how much healing is happening. Shame is no longer controlling us. Embarrassment's no longer controlling us. The fear of intimacy is no longer controlling us. There's a realization it is actually safe to be silent with another human being next to us that we have the possibility to talk to. Meaning not a complete and absolute stranger, because that we can do, especially in London. But in a place where there's been some interaction, you sit next to each other on the plane, you speak a bit, and then there's like this negotiation. Can we be silent now? And is that okay? You go as a guest to a dinner, you sit down at the table. Somebody's got to say something, right? There has to be a dagger, 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 dagger. It can't be that there is just this taking in of the atmosphere, an opening of the senses, an immediate relaxation into togetherness. And maybe it could be both. So other animals, other than the human animal, they don't have this kind of problem. You don't see dogs awkwardly barking at each other just because they can't stand the silence. No, they might bark at each other, but they could just as easily be. Partly they can just as easily be because there is a communication happening in a billion different ways anyway, through the silence. There's a whole conversation going on. A conversation that many humans are missing out on. So many signals, so many vibrations. And it's not just about affliction and about that first level of shame or too much intimacy or awkwardness or social fear. No, there's togetherness, there's belonging, there's a kind of solidarity, there's a oneness. There's a kindness which is just waiting to take form if there's a need, if we let it. There's a sharing of the experience of being alive in this moment, on this bus ride, at this time when the sun is setting. There's being together in whatever is this human destiny that we're caught in right now. You see, this, we use ideas and ideologies and opinions to keep each other away or to form alliances, and to alliances which are often defined by not being the other one. We are in this team and that's the other tribe. But when we allow silence and we see we're all just sitting on a bus and the sun is setting on this journey of human destiny, it doesn't really matter what anybody thinks about it. It doesn't matter what the ideology is. In the silence, there is just the vibration of the bus and the sun setting and this moment of wonder or mystery. There's a oneness which can come forward. Maybe there's even another kind of deeper wisdom which can come forward, which is looking more at what we share than ways to reject each other, or looking more, or feeling more into the celebration of the uniqueness of each moment and each individual, as opposed to dividing and discriminating and discarding and judging. Because something happens when we allow the quality of silence, which is that, first of all, it becomes clear that silence is the source of every vibration. It's not like it's either silent or noise, or there is sound or there is silence. It doesn't work like that at all. We can always access silence beneath vibration, and there is always some kind of a vibration, even if it's only the vibration of the air entering our lungs in and out. So it never was either or. But when we move into listening, attuning, allowing the silence within ourselves, in a very short space of time, the silence outside of ourselves begins to harmonize with it, if we let it. And then it's an interesting question, is there a difference between the silence outside of ourselves and the silence inside of us? And if there is a difference, is there a place where there is no longer a difference? And how does that vibration differ between the inside and the outside? And where does one end and where does the other one begin? Is the silent inside ourselves going up to the skin surface and a little bit beyond? And then there's the silence outside ourselves, which is like the wall. Or is the silence inside ourselves going far, far, far into the distance and only becoming outside when we meet a vibration that we don't like? Where there is something interesting in terms of our complicated relationship with that vibration. And anyway, the silence is there. So one of the ways silence has been made criminal or bad or distasteful is that it's equated with death, as if silence is dead. It's a dead silence. There's nothing there, and nothing is dead. Dead, dead, dead. Nothing is silent, nothing. Little bit like what happened to emptiness. Emptiness is also like a horrific, horrible vacuum void, lack where people are starving and dying of thirst, full of hungry ghosts. This is a very damaged psyche that associates silence and emptiness and spaciousness with some kind of worst torture that we can imagine ourselves to experience. Hunger, starvation, lack, hollowness, pit in the stomach, insufficiency. And it's not like that. This is where we lost the connection. The silence is full of the potential for every sound. Now, you don't have to believe me, but if you imagine what it's like to be a musician or a poet or any of us, to imagine how it is to be ourselves, and you want to compose something, you're going to produce a sentence or a melody which is going to give the essence of what's most valuable to you in this world. Where do you go to? Where do you reach for to bring it forward? You go to your neighbor's house and listen to their TV? No. You will resource the silence. You will go into the silence. And the line of poetry will begin to come forward. Or you'll listen to the silence and you'll begin to hear lines of a melody. You can already feel the relaxation which is there to begin to get close to this ground of being where there is this incredibly fertile silence waiting to give form directly, freshly, precisely to what needs to be expressed. So we are referring to the silence all the time. We cannot be without it because it's not a thing. It's not an empty space. It's not a no thing either. It's literally the sound of peace in a way. The sound of true nature. But what sound is that? Because any sound which we would say is the sound of silence. Hi, Simon and Garfunkel. Any sound which we would say was the sound of silence would already be a sound which is arising out of the silence. So the sound of silence is something which is very, very, very essential and pure in terms of the direct blossoming of something out of the field of silence. And what's direct? Direct is always of a vibratory nature in the first instance. It's a feeling, it's a resonance. It's an inclination. It's a subtle buzz, a movement, a subtle and yet extremely potent arousal, moving from the depth of ourselves into consciousness and expressing into form through us. Now that's what we are as well. We are a vibration, a music, an aroma, an arousal out of the field of emptiness, out of the field of peace, out of the field of silence, expressing as a unique sound or melody, as a human being in this moment, among so many other things. So silence is so close to the source of all that we are. And when we begin to move into silence, of course, what we're doing is we're opening up the listening, the listening, the listening. But not only that, we're also moving deeper and deeper and deeper into sentience, into this space where it's possible to feel this vibration, this melody, that melody, to experience that scent, to experience that color, all at the same time. The one that feels. The one that feels through the subtle interplay of vibration. It's no longer one thing like I have a feeling. It's a whole multidimensional flowing landscape of life. Extremely pleasant, strangely enough. Now you begin to see how far we've come now in the richness of being alive. From that place of thinking like, you should speak out, otherwise you are complicit with whatever crime. You should not be silent, or you must be silent, or this battle that's there around who can have a voice when. And what's the point of a voice if it's not anchored in the deepest wisdom of this silence? If the pathway from the source is not clear in expressing a wisdom on behalf of the whole. And this silence is part of the whole. It's the sound of the wholeness. It's the sound of the oneness. It's the sound of life itself bringing itself into being. So part of this beautiful quality is this spectrum that comes forward between loud vibrations, noise. Maybe it's dissonant vibrations, that's what we call noise. But let's say vibrations that are very loud, the screams or the sounds which are very loud. And on the other hand, quiet vibration. And here again, we make this kind of value judgment based on all kinds of complicated trauma. Each one has our own wounded relationship with noise and quiet. I mean, it sounds terrible, just like quiet, noise, But within ourselves, we have a way to move which isn't going to be noisy, and a way to move which is quiet. And it's interesting to look into whether one is worse or better than the other, because I don't think there are. This is texture of experience, texture of expression. Sometimes if you were to ask from the core of an experience what a noisy expression would sound like, there might be a scream which is piercing the distant horizons in its agony. This could be there, which is so authentic, so pure, that it moves against all the value judgments against destruction and being nice and being good and being quiet. And it's a cathartic release of primal pain of all of this big bang of creation, cutting through the veil of ignorance and delusion which is drugging us and bringing us closer and closer to self-destruction. Maybe a loud noise is what's needed, but maybe equally so, that quiet pain inside ourselves, that one that just whispers, that little tiny voice that says, I'm really afraid, or it hurts. Maybe this is also incredibly precious because it's coming from another area of sensitivity which also needs expression. It also has its place, like every symphony doesn't stay at the same volume all the way. Every symphony has its moments of da 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 and its moments of diddle 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 diddle, and its moments of silence when the whole universe listens and we're one before it picks up again. So I will leave it like that. Otherwise it becomes too much. We take a 5-minute break. Again, anybody who has the link can come and join us in the Zoom room without a problem by using the old link. from the old emails. And we take a 5-minute break and then we will be back for the silent meditation.
Well, welcome back, everybody. So I'm so happy that most of you could find us, irrespective of the difficulty to come in. So let's move into the silent guided meditation. So if you could find a place which is comfortable, in which you kind of feel that you are able to relax your body either on your chair, the couch, or a mattress on the floor, maybe. And just bring your attention, your awareness, your conscious awareness to the physical body. And bringing your awareness, your conscious awareness to your physical body, see if when you kind of scan your physical body, if you can find a place of silence somewhere inside or maybe somewhere around the body. And connecting to this place of silence, if you found a place of silence. Invite this place to expand a little bit. And then I like you to connect with your hearing, your ears. And listen to the sounds far away. And then maybe you can kind of, replace your focus and listen to the sounds which are nearby, which are close. Even the sounds of your own breathing, your own body. And then again, we listen to the sounds far away. The sounds very nearby, just around you, the sounds of your body. And then I'd like you to listen, to focus on the stillness in between the sounds far away and the sounds nearby. The silence in between the sounds far away and nearby. And listening to the silence. Maybe you can also listen to the silence inside your head. And the silence in your chest area. Maybe it is possible to feel the vibration, the atmosphere of the silence you're connecting with. And maybe it's possible to expand this felt sense of the silence to your whole body, to every cell of the body. And then I like you to connect with this same vibration in something outside yourself. This can be something from nature or an object, a person. We connect with the same vibration, silence in an object outside ourselves. And try to stay focused on just the vibration of silence. Everything else what comes forward is allowed to come forward, but we stay focused on the vibration of silence. And then we reconnect with this vibration of silence inside ourselves. We will reconnect with the vibration of silence inside ourselves. And then we reconnect with the vibration of silence into the object of our choice. And we move back to the vibration of silence inside ourselves. And we reconnect with the vibration of silence in the object of our choice. And we bring our conscious awareness back to the silence inside ourselves. And we connect again with the silence, the object of our choice. And then we try to feel at the same time, to experience at the same time, the silence in the object of our choice and the silence inside ourselves. And while we are connected with the vibration, the feeling of the silence, we also listen to the silence. We listen to the silence which is between you and the object. And then I like you to bring your consciousness, listening to the silence, to the tip of your nose. We bring our conscious awareness to the tip of our nose. Listening to the silence. And then we very, very slowly move over the bridge of our nose to the root of our nose. We very slowly move from the tip of our nose to the root of our nose. Listening to the silence. And when we are at the root of our nose, we slowly move a little bit inwards into our heads, listening to the silence. Move inside our heads till we find a place of silence, listening to the silence. And whatever is coming forward, as an experience or impression. Just allow it to be there. In the silence. And then we move with this sensation of silence to our hands. We move with the sensation of silence to our hands. And we listen to the silence in and around our hands. And then we move with this vibration of silence from our hands to our feet. And we listen to the silence in and around our feet. Then we move with this vibration of silence deep into the earth. Listen to the vibration of silence deep into the earth. And then from this position of silence, we listen to the silence in the music. So you're saying goodbye to all the people on the live stream, and thank you for being there, and hope to kind of feel you, experience you next week again. And we take a 5 minute break, and after 5 minutes, there will be some time for questions and sharing, and of course, the peace meditation. And see you in 5 minutes.